I live in Hong Kong, and so I'm going to show you what you need to know about Hong Kong, what you need to eat, and what you need to see. And this is my sister Jess.
Hey!
She's never been here before.
Never.
So let's go see Hong Kong. Welcome to DownieLive.
All right, so what you need to know if you're coming to visit Hong Kong is that there are two sides, split by Victoria Harbour. There's Kowloon on the mainland side and Hong Kong Island on the south side. And in today's tour, we'll get to both.
Our first stop are to get the famous pineapple buns and milk tea. That'll get us going for a day.
Sounds good.
This is a pineapple bun. Thank you. So first thing we have to try is milk tea. It's essentially Hong Kong style tea. Cheers. It's like that. I can't say I'm a huge tea drinker anyways, but I like it.
It's nice.
Yeah, pineapple buns. So the pineapple buns don't actually have any pineapple in them. They're just called that because of what the top looks like. So you can see it's very crunchy, crispy on the top. Like that'll flake right off. It's really soft on the inside. What do you think?
Delicious.
I mean, really, you can't go wrong with fresh bread wherever you are.
It's so soft and gooey.
It's really good, right?
Mm.
No pineapples whatsoever.
Yeah.
I don't know what makes the top that color or so crispy, but I like it.
Yeah.
It's another Hong Kong classic.
Very good.
Have to try a pineapple bun. Okay, let's go catch a ding ding.
There is nothing more iconically Hong Kong than the famous Hong Kong tramways.
So the Ding Ding is a double-decker tram. It's vintage from the early 1900s, and it still operates today as like normal transit.
Cool.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah.
It's so cute. Ding Dings are the least expensive way to travel through Hong Kong. They cost just 3 Hong Kong dollars, and it's worth it. It's the best way to see the city. And one of the best parts about the so-called Ding Ding is open windows. I should say, the reason it's called the Ding Ding, I mean, it's not the official term. It's just what it's called by the locals because of the sound the bell makes when it's leaving. Here we go.
Pretty cool.
So they're actually quite narrow and very tall, but you're not going to see the city better from anything else.
The trams were first introduced in Hong Kong in 1904, and they are the largest double-deck tram fleet in the world.
Just look at the little smiley face they have.
Yeah.
These trams really are iconic of Hong Kong. You'll see them on Hong Kong Island. They're not on the Kowloon side, unfortunately, but we'll get to Kowloon shortly by ferry.
And as you can see, the double-decker buses are actually faster than the trams. I mean, basically, apart from walking, the trams might be the slowest way to get around the city, but they're still my favorite. The benefit is, on certain large roads, they do get their own lanes, so during rush hour, they actually are faster than you'd think. There are 20 miles of track across Hong Kong Island, and I'm excited to explore all of it from the top deck of the Hong Kong tramways.
What are your first thoughts on the Ding Ding?
Very sweet. It's nice to have a higher perspective of everything.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts about the trams is that they keep the oldest ones in working order and use them as tour trams.
And there are speakers which will talk you through the old heritage of the city. It's worth it, but it's not too different from a regular tram ride, so I'll leave that up to you.
The current trams are 7th generation and were rolled out in 2011, while this tram is 3rd generation and rolled out over 100 years ago.
But if you do choose to take it, they will give you a golden pass, which is a 2-day ticket to ride the trams today and tomorrow. So maybe this is a good thing to do at the beginning of your trip, so then you have 2 days of free tram rides for the next 2 days.
In fact, this isn't the only one. There are other vintage trams that you can rent out for parties and cruise around the city on at night. I mean, seems like a good time to me. Anyways, there's a lot of city pride for these trams and they're fun to ride. But alas, the good times must come to an end at some point.
But this is our stop. One thing to know about the trams is that you don't tap when you get on, you tap when you get off. Thank you. And also you board at the back and you get off at the front. I know it's not the same during the day, but Hong Kong is famous for its neon signs, although they are disappearing, so you might want to come see them soon. Now, I don't want to only show Hong Kong Island, so we're going to head over to Kowloon, and the best way to do that is crossing the water. You obviously have to cross the water, but I mean, you could go underground. We're going to take the ferry. We're going to head to the water. Also, look at the scaffolding on the buildings, 100% bamboo. No metal in that.
Let's go.
Amazing.
Hong Kong is one of the last cities to use bamboo as scaffolding. Apparently, it's a more environmentally friendly material compared to aluminum or steel. It's also cheaper and easier to source while still being lighter than the steel counterpart. And yet, just as strong. I have to admit, I was a little shocked when I first saw it, but it's kind of cool.
As you roam different parts of Hong Kong, you'll come across a lot of streets that have been turned into pedestrian-only areas and markets like this, where vendors will put stalls in the middle of the streets, and it's really fun to explore. Personally, I don't need anything.
It's cool to look at.
It's fun, yeah.
Window shopping.
Exactly. Here's a butcher. How am I doing so far? How's the start of the tour?
Pretty good.
Very good, all right. Well, we're getting to the water. Hong Kong is known as a harbor city, so you gotta see the harbor. Known as Victoria Harbor. Of course, Hong Kong was a British settlement, so a lot of things named after the Queen here. That little green boat is known as a junk. Hong Kong has an interesting mix of being a big international modern city, but retaining a lot of its history and culture. So that's actually what makes it the most fun in my eyes, this mix. To get to the ferry, gotta go through a little bit of a wet market here. Get all sorts of fresh seafood down here in the harbor. Now, when coming to visit Hong Kong, you're gonna wanna get yourself an octopus card. It's gonna let you use everything from the tram, the MTR, which is the metro, to the ferries, the whole transit network. You can even pay for things like coffee shops and supermarkets with an octopus card.
And pineapple
Pineapple
buns.
buns. You're really embracing it. We're now taking the ferry across Victoria Harbor to the North Kowloon side.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll... Great.
We're now riding the Sun Ferry, different from the Star Ferry, which we'll ride later.
Look at that tower, is all bamboo scaffolding. Obviously, I just think traveling by ferry is a much more enjoyable way to get across to the other side. You could, of course, take the MTR underneath in the tunnel, the metro.
Now, since Hong Kong is famous for its harbor and waterfront, there's no better place to experience it than from a ferry. From here, you can really see the contrast of the giant apartment buildings with the flashy towers of Central and the mountains in behind, all of which we'll see a little closer up later on.
It's a good way to see the city's skyline. You really get an understanding for the city from the water. Oh, and by the way, you may or may not know this, but I love to strip. No, not like that. But I have been stripping for about 2 years. This is a sponsored segment by True Earth Laundry Eco Strips, and we figured it's Earth Month, so we might as well make it a little bit fun. I strip at home, I strip in hotels, I even strip in public. And it's Earth Month, so it's time for you to start stripping too. True Earth is a certified B Corporation, and their laundry eco strips pack ultra concentrated cleaning power in a tiny pre-measured liquidless strip of laundry detergent. Just toss in the strip and away you go. Honestly, it's great. It doesn't matter if you use top loading, front loading, hot water or cold water, it just works. It makes the chore of washing laundry a lot easier while reducing the need for single-use plastic laundry detergent jugs. And instead, start using the True Earth Laundry Eco Strips. So join me in stripping by clicking the link in the description and checking out True Earth. So happy Earth Month, and thank you, True Earth. Look, Hung Hom Urban Park.
Yeah, this is all
This fire truck is part of the urban park.
covered up.
You can step up to it, and it's all on display. Oh, that's kind of cool. Wow, I've never seen a modern one on display to play on. The things you learn by getting out. So this is Hung Hom, just on the other side in Kowloon. And now we're gonna head into Hung Hom.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Look how blue this water is.
This is a perfect example of a common apartment building in Hong Kong, where everyone hangs their clothes outside to dry.
These are very typical neighborhoods here in Hong Kong with sort of all the matching buildings. We are getting hungry, and Jess smelt this and said, let's go eat there. So we are. No idea what that says. So we got pig's uterus, pig's ear, shredded pork tripe, chicken foot tendons,
Cuttlefish balls. Pork intestines.
pork intestines. This might be beyond me.
Yeah,
I'm not there yet.
let's keep looking.
We're not near the water anymore. That's crazy. Whoa. I had no idea that was here. We just stumbled upon this. We got spicy chicken with rice and came with Coca-Cola, which is Year of the Dragon. That's pretty cool. We did find food in the giant yacht mall.
Looks pretty good.
All right, we may not be too adventurous yet, but we're starting, we're trying. Bear with us. Oh, good. Spicy.
Now that we're refueled, it's time to walk along the famous Tsim Sha Tsui Promenade, a walkway along the waterfront of Victoria Harbor where you'll find a statue of Bruce Lee, as he was recognized as the star of the century here.
They've done a good job of making this a very inviting, walkable area along the water.
And as we keep walking, this is when we first see the next thing for us to ride. This is the Star Ferry. Now we're gonna take the famous Hong Kong Star Ferry across to Central and Hong Kong Island. And this might surprise my sister, but we're taking her to an escalator. I'm actually showing you an escalator. Now this is not just a ferry, it's also deemed a tourist attraction and has been here in Hong Kong since 1888. It's older than the trams. Now it is taking us back to Hong Kong Island, technically to the Central District, all because I want to show my sister an escalator. But not just any escalator. Well, we'll get to that in a second. Just like the previous ferry, yeah, it's not very fast. But the crossing also doesn't take very long. It's a scenic experience and definitely worth the 5 Hong Kong dollars it costs to ride. I mean, that's like 65 cents USD. But now we're going to my favorite part of the tour. Something Jess is not expecting. Now, I'm not just making this part up. This is an actual tourist attraction labeled by signs to help you find it. Now, of course, there are plenty of escalators in Hong Kong amongst all the malls and everything, but this one is different and something special in the world. Worth taking note of. It's not it.
Is this the escalator?
No. It should. We saw it above this, right? How do we get up there? Well, we could go in, but I don't think that there's an escalator there, so.
Finally, we don't have to walk anymore.
What do you think?
We had to walk up quite a few stairs.
Welcome to the Central Mid-Levels Escalator. This escalator cost the equivalent of 31 million US dollars to build back in 1990. But it is the longest outdoor covered escalator system in the world. In Hong Kong, people are very good about standing on the right, and if you want to walk, you pass on the left. It will take you a distance of 800 meters and up an elevation of over 135 meters. But what I find so interesting is that it only has one direction. Now, this escalator was built to help locals commute to work in the morning. So, to get the residents from their apartment buildings up above down to the office towers in Central, the escalator goes downhill. And then at 10 a.m., it switches and goes uphill for the rest of the day to get everyone home. Now, as you can see, it's not a single long escalator, it is an escalator system. So it actually has a lot of areas for you to get on and off. That way you can visit the whole neighborhood. And because of that, there are lots of shops, cafes, and restaurants along it. I know what you're thinking. It's just a bunch of escalators in a row. But this has really helped this steep neighborhood become more accessible for locals and tourists alike, and so I think it's done its job pretty well. Now you might ask me, why do I get so excited about an escalator that's just covered and it's in small sections?
Why do you get so excited about an escalator?
It's because they had a clear problem of getting people up and down hill, and they had a number of solutions that they could have used: trams, metros, funiculars, cable cars, anything, and instead they chose an escalator. And I just think that is such an interesting choice to give us foot traffic access so that the city becomes very walkable and not having to require people to have a car to get up and down the hill. Okay, we're almost at the top now. It's quite a substantial amount of escalators. For those of you that don't know how far 800 meters is, think about running around your school track twice, purely on escalators. And this is the final escalator. We made it.
Woo! That was tough.
So from here, we go this way.
Peak Tram.
How far?
45-minute walk.
You're gonna follow the signs for the Peak Tram. It's gonna take you through some really interesting road infrastructure and jungle until you come across this entrance here, which is for the Hong Kong Zoological and Botanical Gardens. It's free, so we're gonna cut through here. I can't believe this is in Hong Kong. This feels like we're in the jungle. You'll come out on the other side of the Botanical Gardens and across, and we'll finally arrive at the Peak Tram. This isn't just any old tram. This is the Peak Tram. It was the first funicular railway in Asia. It is a little busy, but as I mentioned earlier, it's one of the most popular tourist attractions in the city. And look at the lineups. It may have been here since 1888, but it is still the top-rated tourist attraction in the city. And what you might not believe is that locals use it too as a way to get up to their homes on the mountainside. And this is a perfect reminder for you to get an octopus card if you visit Hong Kong. You can skip this huge lineup to buy tickets, just tap in and get right on the next tram. Another escalator. Now these new trams are from 2021, so they're only a few years old, and because of that, they have huge windows everywhere, including the ceiling, which means there's not really a bad seat anywhere here. But if you can, try and sit on the right-hand side. You'll see why shortly. Here we go. That's wow, you're good. That's it.
It's so steep, it has to be up a funicular.
Of course, originally this was a steamed powered tram. It's now been running on electricity for almost 100 years, and today carries more than 4 million people annually.
Oh, it's getting steep now.
Hold on.
As you can tell, it's a fun ride. Even Jess is enjoying it.
I think my neck muscles are working right now.
They need headrests.
Yeah, they do.
Why go to Disneyland when you can do this?
Mike takes me to funiculars.
This was made in the 1800s. I tell you, it's impressive.
They knew how to have fun back then.
They sure did. So we're halfway. Coming to the station. Alright. What'd you think?
Pretty cool.
Very cool.
They really put the fun in funicular.
Okay, we're getting off.
And of course, it does bring you to a beautiful viewpoint.
Another escalator.
What a perfect night we have for it.
We've been all around it today. All across it.
Up in the hills, in the city,
Across the water twice. It's been a long day.
up some escalators.
We've taken double-decker trams.
Oh, the ding ding. This
Yeah.
one. Oh my goodness, it's been a long day.
Yeah. Well, what a place to finish.
It's beautiful.
Wow. Wow. To think we're in Hong Kong right now, but all we see is jungle. Well, I think this is a pretty good spot to end the day.
I think you can tell at this point that my version of a tour seems to be heavily transportation based, but even my sister Jess seems to have enjoyed it. So if you're new here and you've enjoyed it, well, I'd recommend you hit that red subscribe button for more videos like this.
I'm Mike. I don't know where I'm going next.
And he knows he wants you there with him.
I'll see you next week.